Gareth, great. Thank you for joining our YouTube videos. It's good to have you and to find out a bit more about you and the racing and the ARC race, as well as what they're going to be doing with Race4Rene. You've got a very important job, haven't you? Because you're the skipper of the yacht. You're using the term yacht. It'd be great to understand just how big or small this yacht's going to be. It's going to take them across the Atlantic as part of the ARC race. So first of all, tell us a little bit about an introduction to yourself.
Well, I mean, I've pretty much sailed all my life. I grew up in Manchester. Really, my background is dinghy racing, keelboat racing, whitewater kayaking up in Manchester. And then when I was 19, I got invited to work at Calshot Activity Centre in Southampton. So I moved down from Manchester down south and realised there was no kayaking, there's no rivers, and then really started windsurfing. And obviously, South UK, home of the UK yachting scene, and then got involved in the yacht racing really, and I've done that pretty much ever since. So I'm involved with racing, management teams, just enjoying.
People often think about yachting as a nice sort of hobby or punting around a little bit, but the racing scene, that's a whole new league, isn't it? That's quite a big international scene. Tell us a little bit about racing professionally.
I mean, it's very serious. There's a lot of people who are in it for fun. A lot of people are in it for jobs. It's an industry around the whole race scene itself. You've got people who are sailmakers, you've got their team that are managing people on shore, you've got hotels being booked, and you've got the racing itself. So it's not just part of being a crew turning up and going racing every day. There's actually a lot more to it than actually just going sailing. A lot of people just turn up, go for a jolly around the marina or out to sea and come back, and then go to the bar and start drinking.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's all right if you're, but unfortunately, as a paid professional, you can't do that. You're working all the time. We're up before the crew arrive, setting the boat up, checking everything over, taking them out sailing, and primarily looking after their safety. For me, because we need to bring all the crew back in better condition or as good as they left. That's the priority. Safety is really number one. Racing for me always comes a little bit lower down the line. Even though we're very passionate about racing and winning and getting on a podium, it's all going to be balanced.
Now the ARC race, people talk about Race4Rene, and they are sailing 200 boats, I understand. I mean, tell us a little bit about the ARC race itself. It's quite a major event, isn't it?
Yeah, the ARC, the Atlantic Rally for Cruisers, is a worldwide organisation. So it's not just the ARC they do, what we class as the ARC Transatlantic. They do race all the way around the world. So the boats that do the ARC will continue on and go up to America, up to Bermuda, back over to Europe. So it's a big circuit, and we're joining in with that. The commercial boats that are racing is probably the most competitive class, obviously, in there. So normally we've got about 12 boats in our class normally for racing, all season races. So very, very competitive class. A couple of corporate boats in there as well, a bit like ourselves. So it's not just a cruise for me. We're definitely going to be racing the boat across with the help of the team.
With potentially 200 or so other competitors.
Absolutely. I mean, we have obviously classes, so each boat's in different sizes, different weights and stuff like that, and they all go off a rating system called IRC, International Race Certificate. So each boat has its own rating time allowance. So some have a higher time allowance, some have a lower time allowance. So when they finish, they calculate the time allowance given to another boat. So we're sort of in the middle really with our time allowance in our fleet. So boats can finish in front of us, but we can beat them on what we call a lapse time or corrective. So we're racing against boats on the water as well as time as well. So it's all calculated really through that. With the racing division, we're not allowed to use our engines. With the cruising divisions, which accompany us in that, they're allowed to use their engines and motor some of it. So if there's no wind, we have to sit there and wait it out until the wind fills in and carry on racing. So, for us it could be 12 days, it could be 24 days. It really depends on the weather system, what we're doing. The cruising boats tend to have a bit more fun about it. They can use their engines to get themselves out of trouble, and we just have to tough it out.
Do they stand a chance of winning or getting a podium position, as it were, in that class?
For us, the Race4Rene, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Last year, the two performance yacht racing boats came second and third.
Wow.
In the race. We were beaten by a boat called Scarlet Oyster, which is a very well sailed, a famous boat that does well throughout the circuit. So with performance yacht racing on the boat they're sailing, EH01, has a number of podiums this year, including the second on the Caribbean 600, a third in the Heineken race. So the boat itself is a podium placed boat and does very well with the race sails, sailed well. It always lands up on the podium.
And so the volunteer crew, it's yourself and a first mate who are the professionals, who bring all the knowledge and expertise. But the volunteer crew, as it were, Max and the guys we've seen for Race4Rene, they're going to have their work cut out. It's not going to be an easy ride for them, is it? I mean, how many are you taking, first of all, and what sort of things are they going to have to do to get across?
I mean, normally it'll be up to 10. So we'll take 10 crew, plus myself and the first mate, so we'll be 12 on board in total, is normally the average number. We can take more, but that's probably the max we want to take, just for space and move and stuff like that. These guys are really lucky that we're actually getting 6 days of training before they turn up for the ARC race itself, including an ISAF course, which is basically a safety course, teaching them how to get into a life raft, all the emergency procedures that need to go around with that. So they're going to have a lot of pre-training for that from myself and first mate. And primarily it's going to be quite tough for them. The main thing we can't really write into the program is people getting seasick, because people haven't been at sea for a period of time. We're going to be doing a lot of day stuff, no overnight stuff really, covering man overboard procedures, how to use a spinnaker, how to tack the boat, how to jibe the boat, and just generally how to be safe on the boat. What we can't train for is days at sea, and I think that's where they're going to be the toughest point for them. One example is we only carry a limited amount of water. So we only carry, enough water for the race. Normally about 2 litres per person per day on average. And I carry about 5 litres a day extra for cooking. Okay. So we won't be getting showers every day. It's a salt water bucket over the back of the boat if they want to get something clean, and baby wipes. So these sort of things that the crew won't be used to, where they just get up in the morning, turn on their shower, have their shower, get dressed and go to work. Well, that's not going to happen. It's going to be get dressed, come on deck and do your watch. So there's sort of things like that, doing the watch keeping, the day-to-day running of the boat, making meals for everybody, cleaning the boat, all the stuff that they're not going to use to. That's going to be the hard bits for them to primarily. But after about 3 or 4 days, they generally get into the scheme.
And everybody's going to have to pitch in and do everything.
Absolutely, yeah. Including myself and the first mate. We on the boats that I generally are involved with, really, a lot of the boats sometimes you just get the skipper driving. If I'm driving the boat, I'm doing something wrong, because I want the crew to get involved with it. So we're going to have watch systems. Primarily, we normally do what we call a 6 on, 4 off. So 6 hours on during the day, 6 hours off and then 4 on, 4 off at night. And we'll do that consistently. So there'll be 5 people on for 6 hours and 5 people sleeping, cooking, cleaning, wherever it is. Then that'll change over each time, every watch system. So they're going to be a continuous system on there, and that takes quite a long time to get up. You get up at 2 in the morning, it might be raining, it might be miserable weather outside, and you put your kit on and get on deck and be happy about it. And
the sleep deprivation, I mean, they'll be used to doing 7 or 8 or 9 of the students, 9 or 10 cosy hours sleeping. To get up every 6 hours and or 4 hours at night, it's going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact is it might not get that much sleep. If there's a problem with a boat, or it's really windy, or we're doing a sail change, it might be the fact that we need everyone's help.
Everybody's going to come.
Absolutely. Yeah. So sometimes gone the days of you could be up for 24 hours without any sleep, and that's hard work, especially when you've got to try and catch that time back up. I mean, that's where myself and the first mate go in handy, with trying to organise that, and we manage our time around that. For them, it's going to be very difficult at times. Exactly, they think they'll be coming downstairs, putting the TV on and watching, I don't know, something. That's not going to happen.
Piers Morgan first thing in the morning. Thankfully, you probably get away from Piers Morgan. That'd be good. And the kind of weather conditions they could expect, because you're going sort of November time, so.
Yeah, this year it's a little bit later. So I think this year it leaves on the 23rd November. Okay. And normally, the later on in the season, the better the trade winds are, because we're looking at trade routes, really, so downwind. So pretty much from Las Palmas, the normal route would be travelling around 600 miles to 750 miles south towards Cape Verde, where you basically get the trade winds more established, and then turning right, and then 2,500 miles across. So the race itself is around about 2,000 miles, but you could be racing 2,500 miles. It could be 3,000 miles, depending on the weather conditions. It's really weather dependent. It changes every year. No race has ever been the same for me. I've done the race a number of times. I can never say it was the same.
Any particular advice to the guys to prepare ready for the race, physically, emotionally? I mean, everybody cheek by jowl, as they say. I mean, they're going to be living in very close quarters for a period of time.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, they do something called hot bunking, which basically share a bunk. So if we were on opposite watches, you're on watch in the morning and I watch in the afternoon, you'd get out of your bunk, you'd come on watch, relieve me, I'd go downstairs and get into the bunk that you've just slept in. So it's still warm, so we call it hot bunking. So it's not, you don't have that privacy anymore. There's none of this, you know, you can go into the toilet and brush your teeth, and you know, there's always people around you, there's always something going on. So the hustle bustle of life on board does take quite a bit of use to get used to, really. And that's going to be the hardest thing for them. But I mean, they're students, they're probably used to living or working, so you know, they might get used to that sort of bit, and that's the hardest thing, really. And that's what myself and the first mate have to manage, really, is making sure that everyone's safe and understanding. And long time at sea, away from friends and family sometimes, you know, no phone reception. Their expensive iPhones has become expensive alarm clocks.
Absolutely.
So,
and what does Race4Rene itself mean and what it stands for? It's very important these days. I mean, how do you see the race and what the guys are trying to do to raise awareness for mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has come into contact with someone who's probably had mental illness or mental health in some way but not know about it. I mean, I've done a lot of ocean racing. I've been at sea for, you know, weeks and weeks at a time, and that does have a drain on people's mental health. And it's a massive change when someone at the beginning of the race is a very different person to who they are at the end of the race, because they have lots of time sometimes to sit there and think about how things are going. You know, think about how their life is. You know, think about getting on the tube every day to go to work. You know, all these sort of things that where in normal life you're so busy you don't get used to thinking about. So you know, you do get on these races, a lot of people reflecting on their life and stuff like that, and you know, unfortunately, you know, you do have times where people just lose it a little bit. You know, I've been at sea for 3 weeks. You know, we've not had a shower. You know, they're at their bitter end.
Yes.
So you know, we have dealt with mental illness, but you know, people with problems at sea.
They're feeling the stress.
Absolutely.
Well, it all sounds very exciting. I'm sure we'll talk again many times between now, and we're going to be following the guys on some of their training days. So it'll be really good to see how they progress as a team. But the best of luck with the race. It sounds incredibly exciting.
Thank you.
And I'm sure it'll be a great result on the podium and a great result for the various charities they're raising money for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing can be followed as well. There'll be a link up soon to the website from what we call the Yellow Brick Tracker. So people, friends and family can follow it all at home for free. You download the app on your phone, and then you can just follow it from there. So it's, you know, it's not like we're going to be at sea and no one will be able to track us. They'll see us leave and wonder what happens in 3 weeks' time.
Will they be able to talk to you? I mean, I guess you've got a sat phone, but it's not.
We do have sat phones. We have communication for weather forecasts and everything else like that. Generally, we'll be sending out. I quite encourage the crew to do daily blogs. So each crew member hopefully will do a different blog each day of their experience of the race, how they're feeling, that sort of thing. And we can email those, and they'll be put onto the website and they'll put onto performance yacht racing sites and our website and stuff like that. So we're fully contactable, and people, you know, potentially through the company can email in as well. So you know, we can receive and send emails really. So it's not too much of a problem.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people. I'll certainly be following the race, and it'll be great to see how everybody gets on. Gareth, thank you very much indeed.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.